We're on the bottom of Vav Hamad Beis, right? Yep. And it's like there's like 3 sets of lines. There's skinny lines, middle lines, and wide lines. I think it's about 4 lines down in the wide lines. Rabbi Shua ben Karchaimer. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's time that they're book learn Torah every day. So we're learning. We should have the basic English. Learning Lil Nishmas of Golda Basparach Yaman, Salsa Ben Tzion, and Bush Lema, Sarah. That's all that's been for this. Okay. and for father, Ben Mary Madel and Chaim and Sarah, Jimmy. Okay, the Gemara was discussing Pshara. Should you do a Pshara? Should you do a how do we translate Pshara? Compromise. Yeah. Should you do a compromise, or should you do a judgment? Well, we have different opinions here. One opinion that says, well, after the judgment, then it's too late. That was the first opinion. Then we had an opinion of Reb Shua ben Karcha. It says, no, mitzvah liptzaya. No, you should. It's a mitzvah. Okay. It doesn't tell me when, yes, but no. But he says it's a mitzvah to do that. Then we had a.
Like a piece to reconcile.
Oh, that was in the first opinion, yeah. Then that was Rabbi Elazar ben Rabbi Yosef Glili. He said asa liptzaya. Yeah, we had asa liptzaya. You're not allowed to. You should not. And we have Rishon Karcha that you should. Then we have Rishon ben Manasseh that says before you hear the judgment and you see where it's going, then you can, but not afterwards. Anyway, now the Gemara says Rabbi Shua ben Karcha Imer minayin letalmid sheishav pnei Rabbi Braz chus la'ani v'chayv la'asher minayin shle'yishtek. Rabbi Shua ben Karcha. This may be, by the way, a Rabbi Akiva's son. This Rabbi Shua ben Karcha. Rabbi Akiva was bald, so he's called Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, the son of the bald. Well, he says, how do you know that if there's a student that's sitting in front of the teacher? Now that means he's sitting in front of the judge, the teacher that was the judge, and he notices that he has a reason to exonerate the poor person and to condemn the rich person. How do you know that he shouldn't be silent, that he should speak up? It says in the pasuk, now we used this pasuk before, right? This was before we used the pasuk. Leisagura means don't be afraid of any man. Now, oh, yeah, but I think it's said by the judges, no?
No, isn't it also about
going into the land of Israel? Yeah. So the before we used it to say that once you start to see which way is going, you see you might get into trouble with the strong person. So then you're going to say, okay, I'm not doing the judgment. Let's do pshara or something. No. Once you hear that the way this judgment is going, you can't say I'm excusing myself from the case. You can't do that. And the reason for that is you're not allowed to be afraid. Now we're saying that the student means and Rav Chanan explains means don't gather. Here it means don't suppress your words because of another person. It's a little different. Before it was the judge should not excuse himself from the case. Now it's don't suppress your words because of the teacher that's there.
No, not because you'll give an opinion of your friend. Or
no, because in front of the teacher. Now it's, I'm sorry? Right.
Russia makes a difference whether he's a member of the Bezdin or not. I'm not sure why.
Rashi makes a difference if he's a member of the Bezdin.
Well, that's what he's saying.
He's not a member of the Bezdin. Yeah. That's what the Gemara is saying. The Gemara is saying that he's a student, right?
A student.
What do you tell? What does Rashi? Rashi has a comment.
No, he's just saying that it's not.
It's just explain.
It's
It's
just saying that
elaborate.
it's not clean.
Okay.
It's like,
Well, the witnesses should know in front of whom they are testifying. Oh, the witnesses should know who they are testifying about, and in front of whom they're testifying about, and who's going to punish them. Now it's interesting because now we're saying it's as if the witnesses are testifying about Hashem. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, the two people that have the argument. Here it's referring to. You would think it's referring to the litigants. It's actually referring to the witnesses. Asher lehem hariv, that to them is the argument, which means they are the ones that are controlling it. The Fnei Hashem, in front of Hashem, because the witnesses are now testifying in front of Hashem, and it's also there as if they're testifying about Hashem, because it's when they make the judgment. If it's when they testify, if they're testifying falsely, they're going to cause money to go to the wrong person, and Hashem is going to have to make the money goes back. So it's testifying about Hashem, like as if Hashem is now going to get a new job to put it back. Okay. And the judges should also know who they're judging. In front of whom they're judging. Who's going to take extract punishment from them. Hashem sits amongst the group of judges. As if Hashem is one of the litigants. Right, testimony against Hashem, right? It says, he said to the judges, see what you are doing. It's not man that you are judging. Rather, you're judging Hashem. And maybe a judge would say because of this, why do I need this problem? Why should I get involved in being let me not to take any cases. I am together with you, Hashem says. I'll be together with you in judgment. And all you have to do is just do exactly the way what your eyes see. In other words, what without any corruption. The dayan should not be afraid. All he should do is just bring out the truth the way he understands. We said that if there's a nigmar hadin, then you're not allowed to do. If once the case is concluded, then you're not allowed to say, okay, let's go for compromise now. So at what point does that happen? Amrav Yehuda Marav, Rabbi Yehuda says, Nimrav ish pleni atachayev, ish pleni atazaka. Once you say, so and so you're guilty, so and so you're innocent, that's the Gemara din, and you can't adjust it. Now, Amarav. Rav says halacha Rabbi Shua ben Karcha. I'm going to go back to not the last Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, but the one before that, where Rabbi Shua ben Karcha said that it's a mitzvah to do compromise. The halacha is like Rabbi Shua ben Karcha. Is that really so? But Rav Huna told me the Rav Huna was a great student of Rav. When they would come to a judgment, would come to Rav Huna, Amalahu, he would tell to them, to the litigants, what would you like? Would you like a real court case, or would you like arbitration? Or would you like some compromise? And what type of yeah. I'll provide it as added in and not in bold.
Did all people time get like due process or something? Putting away like
what does due process mean? That they
you're innocent until proven guilty.
I think so. Right? We have innocent until proven guilty, right?
It says like in the
beginning of the
7 clause to set up courts of justice.
Right.
Sometimes they have courts, but they don't.
Oh. Jonathan is asking, in the 7 Noahide laws, they have to set up judges.
Courts, yeah.
They have to set up courts, but in those courts, do those courts have to run according to what we would consider justice, like due process and that, or can they just be like the way? I don't think they have to follow Torah law.
That's for sure.
I know, but if not following Torah law means going against it. I don't think that.
Otherwise, it would just be anarchy.
Yeah, it's just preventing anarchy. It doesn't have to be the way Torah views it, right?
Preventing what?
Anarchy.
So in the Soviet Union, they have these courts that everybody's guilty until they're proven innocent. Where Stalin says, court case. And
Did they? Okay, I hear. That's a good question.
The same thing here. It's just.
depends on,
Okay.
Depends on how you park it.
Now the Gemara says, "My mitzvah nami de kamar Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha." We have a question. How could Rav Paskin like Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha that you should do pshara, you should do compromise? If Rav Huna would offer them compromise, he didn't say I'm doing compromise. He would only offer them as one of the possibilities. So the Gemara explains, "My mitzvah nami de kamar Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha." What did Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha mean when he said that it's a mitzvah? Mitzvah l'meimer lahu, it's a mitzvah to offer it to them, to say to them, so what would you like? That's the mitzvah. Not that you have to do that, but you have to offer it. That's Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha meant. You have to offer it. Hainu Tanakama. It's interesting because when people go to court, they're like, I don't want any compromise. I want this, I want the law, I want to prove. Some of the times they go to court, not because the money or this. They just want to show that the other person was wrong. And if you do compromise, you don't prove anything. They want to show that, you ever hear that? I said, what are you going to court? You already lost $100,000 on lawyers now. You're taking another case and the thing, they do this stuff. Why are you going again? Just call it quits and, cut your losses. So no, this has to be, okay. Hainu Tanakama.
What about in the community? If someone is accused of something, and then everybody says, okay, he can't go to the synagogue and all that, and then he's proven he's totally innocent. In the meantime, he's lost his job and no one will ever employ him.
Right.
So
Right.
How does that work?
I don't know. It doesn't sound good.
I mean, it happens here.
I know, right? I know Tanakama. This is the same as the Tanakama. The Tanakama also said that once the judgment is concluded, then you can't do any pshara. And we're saying now, Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha says, not. If it's once the judgment is over, then you can't do pshara. That sounds like before the judgment is over, then you can do pshara. And Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha says what is pshara? Mitzvah l'b'tzai means you offer it to them. Well, so the Tanakama would also agree to that. So why is Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha like a different opinion than the Tanakama if they're both agreeing that before the judgment is over, you have that option? So it could be nayel mitzvah. The difference is if it's a mitzvah. Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha says mitzvah. Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha says it's a mitzvah. You're supposed to tell them would you like compromise. Tanakama says no, you're allowed to tell them. You don't have to. The Gemara now says, I know Reb Shimon ben Manasseh. But Reb Shimon ben Manasseh was a later opinion in this brisa. The brisa started on Vav Amud Aleph by the Tanur Rabbanan. It's a little confusing, but the Tanur Rabbanan on the last line of Vav Amud Aleph says, Shem Shadin B'Shleisha, Kach B'Tzur B'Shleisha. And it takes you all the way down till Hechidami Nigmar Adin. Now, in the middle, we had a Simon, Sarmash, Bankash, Simon. We had this. It doesn't matter. It's still the same brisa, and it's still the same Tanur Rabbanan. Well, now we're saying, in that brisa, we also had a Reb Shimon ben Manasseh. he said that before you see which way the case is headed, you're allowed to offer a pshara, right? Or you're allowed to step out of the judgment. That's really what he said.
To step out or do a shower.
No, or compromise, right? He said both. Right, before the judge, right? So the Gemara explains what's the difference from Shimon ben Manasseh and the other opinions. So it could be Nayu, Mishatishma Devrayim Batiyade Alechan at the night after Shailemelem to Batu. According to the Tanakama, even if you already know which way this is headed, you're still allowed to offer compromise. It's only after the conclusion that you're not allowed to. According to Shimon ben Manasseh, you're not allowed to offer compromise once you see which way this is headed. Yeah, which is very interesting. The Pliga de Rab Tancha is going to be very hard to prove if someone ever does this and say, "Oh, I didn't know." Right.
I think that ends up being the din.
That which one?
Once you see where it's headed. Because, and the rationale is because it's like taking money away from the one who would have won.
Right. Although I do see the Ein Mishpat on Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, not on Rabbi Shimon ben Manasseh. Yeah,
that's really tricky because like he wants to help the wealthy guy, and he see that the wealthy guy is a little bit behind in the case. He could just offer like, "Oh look, why don't we compliment?" And that'll benefit the wealthy.
Right.
Especially when you leave it like so you can do that anymore.
It's a good point. Rabbi Shua ben Karcha doesn't tell me when you're allowed to. He just says mitzvah. You may be right. He's adding in a detail that Rabbi Shua ben Karcha didn't discuss. Okay. Upliga de Rab Tanchum bar Chanilai. All of this argues on Rab Tanchum bar Chanilai. Dam Rab Tanchum bar Chanilai. Leinemer mikra zeh ela keneged ma'aseh egel. We were getting into this by saying, Beitzeya beirech niyat Hashem. Someone that we're saying Beitzeya is really someone that robs, but here we're saying someone that does a compromise. Right? We were discussing if that was referring to a compromise. Beitzeya meant a compromise. Well, Tanchum ban Chanilai says that it goes like this. It's It's actually referring to the egel, the golden calf. Shenemar bayar Aaron. Aaron saw. But even Mizbeach lefanav, and he built an altar in front of this. Is talking about the people approached him, built to make the golden calf. He sees what's going on, and he builds an altar. Mara, what did he see? Amar Binyamin bar Yefes, Amar Belazar. Binyamin bar Yefes was a student of Rabbi Yochanan, student of Rabbi Lazar. But here he says, Rachor shazavuach lefanav. You see, you have to read the pasuk like this. Vayar Aaron saw Vayiven, and he understood mizavuach lefanav, from who was slaughtered before him, not mizbeach. Mizavuach. Aaron saw that Chur was just killed. Amar, he said, Ilay Shemanalahu, if I don't listen to these people, they're going to do to me what they did to Chur. Makayim being, they're going to fulfill in me, that if he kills in the sanctuary a Kayan and a Navi, this was happened much later by Zechariah ben Yehuda, he was killed in the Beis Hamikdash, and after that was a destruction. He was a Kayan and a prophet. And after that, there'll be no solution for them. So mutav deliav del egel, it's better that they do the egel after the havla to count the tshuva. Egel you can do tshuva for, but
Killing someone in the basement.
Murder, you're not killing someone in the Beis Hamikdash. Yeah, that's you can't really get that back. Who? Oh, Gedalia. No, he wasn't on the. No, this is Zechariah.
Right.
Yeah, this is the one that the blood was boiling when it came in. Bahani Tanoi, and these Tanoim that say that once you hear that don't say that you can't offer the Tanaim that we mentioned before say that at a certain point you can't do compromise. But let's say the other sages that don't mention this, what do they sold? They say, Paiter Mayim Rashis Madain, my Darshibe. What do they do with that pasuk of Paiter Mayim? We learned Paiter Mayim Rashis Madain, that once the trial has begun, right, then you can't separate yourselves. So what does everyone else do with that pasuk? They say like this. My darshibe. Kid Rav Hamnuna, like Rav Hamnuna says, Rav Hamnuna ain't chilastina shaladam nidan elal divrei Torah. Person's first judgment in the world to come is going to be if he toiled in Torah. Nemar paiter mayim. If someone takes the water from off of himself, rashis madain, that's the beginning of his judgment. The water, Torah is compared to what? Torah is compared to water. Taisus asks that this is not the way it's arranged in Masechta Shabbos, where they ask him. His first question was, "Were you honest in business?" And over here, we're saying the first question that they ask him is if he had time for Torah.
Traffic was weird. Torah.
Sorry. Yeah, but it's still that's fits with our Gemara. But what about the Gemara there? No, but there's a contradiction. The contradiction is over there. They asked him if he did. The second question was, did you set aside time for Torah? Over here, we're saying the first one. Right? So Taisus answers. Over there is talking about someone that was learning Torah, but he didn't have a set time. So this first question was, did he do business? And afterwards they ask him. Here it's talking about someone that doesn't have any time for learning. Or it's a little different. But there was the interrogation, and then afterwards there was the punishment. The interrogation was they asked him first about business. The punishment that was first on Torah. That's the second answer. Okay. Amar Rav Huna says, Hi Tigra, this argument, Damya Litzinura, the Bidka Damaya, probably. Litzinura the Bidka Damya or Damaya? I don't have the vowels here. It's the same word. Right. Damaya, yeah, you have Damaya. The first one is Damya, right? It's comparable.
Yeah.
Hi Tigra Damya, this argument is similar to a water pipe. Even the ravach, if to make a hole in it, once the water starts coming out, then the hole gets bigger. So you can't stop it, right? Remember that the dike,
Put your finger in.
the finger in the right. But once it comes out, then it's like the hole widens. So you can't stop it anymore. So too with with arguments. Abaya Kashisha, Abaya the elder, he said, Dami leguda de gamla kivan de kam. It's similar to the boards of a bridge, that as you walk on it, it gets tighter, gets held in more, and then it's hard to take it out. It gets even stronger. People start to fight. The fights they get like ingrained and in Shimi Ashti, really? Sheva Zemiris. Simon. Yeah, we'll have to see what this is referring to. Hahud Amar, I'm probably reading it wrong. Hahud Dahavika Amar Basel. There was a person that was saying while he was going, Toivia the Shama Va'adish. Happy is the one that listens to people that are probably criticizing him, and Va'adish, and he's silent. Chalfua Bishtei Meya, passes over him 100 evil things. So he gets saved from 100 bad things just from staying quiet. Insurance, right? Amalei Shmuel Rav Yehuda. Shmuel says to Rav Yehuda, Kruxiv, I have that in pasuk. That's a pasuk. Paiter mayim reishis madin. Someone that opens the water, this beginning of the conflict. Reish meya dani. Here we're saying, Paiter mayim. Someone that opens the argument we're referring to. That's going to be 100 litigations. Beginning of 100 litigation. That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, it does.
The lawyer says yes, it does.
Sharpening his teeth.
Wow.
Have it releasing water at the beginning of the story.
Right. And releasing water over here means that someone that starts the fight, that's the beginning of the. Now we're changing the word strife, which is the Hebrew is madain, into meya dani, 100 litigations. Okay. Who that become Rav Asel was a person that was going and saying, Atarti tlas, on 2 or 3, gan v'lei mikdal, they don't kill the thief. As if he does it only once or twice or 3 times, don't be surprised, because sometimes those things can pass. What is that? In California. Amalei Shmuel, Rav Yehuda Shmuel says to Rav Yehuda, Kruxiv, I have that in a pasuk. Kayamar Hashem, Hashem says, Al Shleisha Pisri Yisrael, for 3 iniquities or something over Israel, Alabala Yeshivenu, he's saying it in a surprise. But for 4, will I not punish? Will I not take retribution? So that means that, yeah, the first 3 can pass, but for the 4th, it's not happening. Who David Kamer Basel was the person that was going, and he was saying, Shev Biri L'Shalmana. Someone that that's peaceful is saved from 7 pits. But 1 pit is enough to catch a person that does evil. The Kruxiv. Oh, that's a pasuk. This reminds me of remember Rabbi Yechanan and Ilfa. Ilfa said, every brisa I can show you how it's really in the Mishnah. Here, every piece of wisdom that this guy is saying, Shmuel says to Rabbi, that's in the Torah. I have a pasuk for that. I didn't notice that. I didn't see that. Actually, I didn't see that at all. I saw that a person that does arguments gets into trouble. That's what I see.
They draw one that says about the kids, like a peaceful person will be saved from all the holes.
Right.
And then the person is evil, like the one little pit that you'll fall into.
Right.
So basically,
right.
I understood it was kind of crazy.
Oh, yeah, that's what you mean. Okay, I thought I understood from this Gemara the opposite, that a person has free choice what type of life he's going to want to live. If he lives that type of life, he's going to end up with those problems. Okay, the wicked would fall into one. Now, this is not really a pasuk, but anyway, that's how the Gemara says it. There was a person that was going and saying, if a person is coming out of the court and he lost his shirt, he lost his cloak in the court because they took it away because he had to pay something. He should sing and and go on his way. That means he should be happy that he wasn't left with something that was stolen. He didn't lose anything. If that's what the court paskin, then that's what he's supposed to have. Shmuel says to Rav Yehuda, Kruxiv. That's exactly the pasuk. It says V'gam kol ha'am hazeh al makom Yerushalayim. This is by Yisri. Yisri says that in all of these people will go to their place in peace. They're talking about when you set up the judges. Now, why all the people? Some of them will be upset. It says, well, no, they shouldn't be upset because they're getting rid of something that they shouldn't have had. They shouldn't be upset. They'll come in peace. David Kamer Basel is the person that was going and saying, he naima vidikula shafel. She falls asleep. Naim is to doze off. She dozes off, and the basket tilts, falls off. Talking about a woman that has a basket on her head. So when she keeps her sewing equipment in it, So she's sewing, and then she has the basket with the yarn or whatever, the needles, and then when she falls asleep, so it tilts down. So, what is the significance of that? Amalei Shmuel Rav Yehuda Kruksiv. He says that's a pasuk. But because of the lazy person, the roof starts to cave in. If you don't fix things as they go on, it could fall in. So also, this woman, because she's getting lazy, so you're not able to see her work in Malach Tanikah. I guess it gets ruined. I guess so. Okay. Who the Havika Amar Basel, there was a person that was going. He said, Gavra derechitzna alea adye ligzize v'kam. Person that derechitzna alea means they trust in him, or a person that he's trusting in. Adye ligzize v'kam. Gavra derechitzna alea, men in whom I trust. Adye ligzize v'kam. He lifts his fist. He lifts his weapons. What's this referring to? So what does this mean?
This is written first, even my ally, and my trust, etc., has raised his heel against me. Verse 23 is Psalm.
Not much help.
That's all they give me.
I
don't know anything.
No, what is this referring to? Gavra derechisna, the person that I trust in, Adi ligzize v'kam, he lifted up his Adye means to lift up. Zize is either his weapon or his fist.
His fist. He stood against me. Right? No, he betrayed me.
Oh, and so is this giving a suggestion what you should do? Or is it just saying the person just complaining? Let me see. The man upon whom I relied has lifted his fist and stood against me. It's not saying like any advice. All of these were advice, were like what's going to happen, or. But I guess it's saying don't trust in people. That's what it's saying. Don't trust in.
Don't put your.
Okay, so Shmuel says, "Gam Shleimi Asher B'tachti by the Shmuel says to Rav Yehuda, that's a pasuk. Gam Shleimi Asher B'tachti by even the person that I put all my hope in." I hear you. Yehuda become Rav Azel. There was a person that was going and saying, "Kirachimta and Havi Aziza, when our love was strong, Apusya de Safirsa Shchivan, we were able to sleep in a bed that was as wide as a sword." It's like on a. But Hashid Leazizur Rachimta, now that our love is not strong, Purya Barshitin Garmidi Lesagilan, a bed that's 60 amas is not enough, it's not big, it's not wide enough for us. Ravuna, it's not Shmuel and Rav Yehuda anymore, now it's Ravuna. Says, Kroiksiv, Sive, have a pasuk for this. Mikoraksiv, this is interesting. Says first, it says by Moshe Rabbeinu, that says, I will meet with you there and I'll speak with you from on top of the kaperes, on top of the lid. The Tanya Aron Tishav Kaperes Tefach. How big was the whole Aron? The Aron was 9 tvachim and the kaperes was 1 tefach. So it's 10 tvachim. Ksiv, and then it says, Abayas Shabana Melech Shleim El Hashem, Shishim Amarke, Beshamam Merach, Bershleishim Amakmasel, Besaif Ksiv, Kaimar Shema, Shemaim Kifi, Vart Sedim Ragli, is Abayas Shetivnali. So when it came to the base of Migdash, it was much bigger. The Kruvim were much bigger. And it was 20 amas. I don't know why we have to tell me how big the room was. I guess it said the Aron was the same size. And if okay. The point is that after the base of Migdash, Hashem says that what house can hold me? What house can you build for me? the heavens is my chair and the earth is my footstool. How can you build me a house? Which means that we can't squeeze into a small area. Yeah. The further you are, the bigger.
This here, after they sinned, even the temple which was so high and so wide, it's not large
It
enough.
was not. Oh, that's what it means.
to contain
mean-
that.
Uh-huh. Even the temple.
Separation.
Yeah. The only thing is the comparison is not perfect. Comparison started off with a bed. The bed goes this way. It says, "Oh, the Mishkan, the Aron is 10 tefachim tall." That goes that way. But maybe what it means is that in the Aron, maybe there's a missing detail here. The Aron itself is only an am and a half, and Hashem is meeting Moshe from above the Aron in that am and a half, even though it wasn't mentioned in the Gemara. It's only an am and a half, but the main point was missing, not the 10 tefachim tall. And then it says, and then when it comes to the base of Mikdash, it was 30 amas tall. But that had nothing to do with this. Talking about Hashem meeting above the Aron. It says, okay, now after the base of Mikdash, there's no place that can, where the house can you build for me? Can't contain. Which is showing that when there's love, then we can fit into a small place. That's the, it's not, the comparison doesn't fit perfectly.
After 60 years. Not 60 years, 60 months later.
Yeah.
Beginning, they didn't need to make a big.
Right. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm not. The big and small. I got just the comparisons aren't perfect because the bed goes this way. So now you're telling me about the height of the Aron. Why do I need to know the height of the Aron? You want to tell me what it contains? Tell me the size of the Mishkan, the height of the Aron. And then if you want to tell me the size of the base of Mikdash, so fine. But you want to tell what the Aron was the same size.
In other words, they're not comparing.
Yeah, right, then it's not matching up. Chaim's on, yeah. Yeah, Yitzi saying just ask Chaim. Okay. I don't want to put anyone on the spot. My mashma, the Gemara goes back and says, my mashma the highlight seguru lishna the kanushiyu. Where do you get this thing? We said before that a student shouldn't hold back, shouldn't suppress his words in front of the teacher. Right? Where do you get that? The seguru, that seguru means to suppress or to gather. Amar of Nachman, Amar Krav Yayin le'sishta v'le'seger. Wine you won't drink and you won't gather. Ravacha bar Yaakov, you see, seger is like seguru. Ravacha bar Yaakov mehacha tachim mekayetz lachma. Agra b'katzer machala. In the summer, she prepares in the summer her bread, and she gathers in the summer, in the harvest, her food. So agra means to gather, like seguru. Ravacha breider Ravika Amar mehacha oiger b'kayetz ben maskil. Someone that gathers in the summer is a wise son. Yeah, like the squirrels, and all the other animals that hide their food and try to find it.
So study this mission.
Like after the rabbi says something, and this shouldn't say anything. Maybe that.
We're saying the opposite. We're saying that the student should speak up, right? Yeah, yeah. He should make sure to say it. He shouldn't be afraid, right? Right, in a judgment. Yeah, that's discussing the ways to say it. Didn't we learn? No, and it's not discussing that. It's saying to speak up. Like Segura, not to hold back, not to suppress. MS Mamain Yira Simon. What was the simon that we had before? What was this? We said shimmy. Maybe the first one was shama. The second one was shave. Here the shalmana. Then was shav. Oh, that's the shave. Oh, it's probably shimmy. The first, you see the simon before was he heard. Vashti was probably meant quiet because we had that word over there that meant quiet. We had va'adish, like maybe shasik, maybe. Sheva would be the 7, and then Zmiris, we said that the person should sing. And then who? Yavi. Simon. Oh, it's supposed to be he, right? She falls asleep. I don't know. Okay. Where are we holding now? We have a new simon. Amr Shum Bar Nachmani Amr Rabbi Yonasan. Shum Bar Nachmani says, name Rabbi Yonasan called Dayan Shadan Din Emes Lamita, any judge that judges true judgment. Remember this Tosfos in Baba Basra? It's on the same page. And this is Daf Zayin. But it was on Daf Ches, Baba Basra. It said, judge that says true judge. What's true judgment? Emes Lamita. It says not only is it true, but also the cases. Not only does the person correct in Torah, but also according to the correct circumstance. I think they said too. Master Shechina be Israel. The Shechina dwells in Israel. The God sits amongst the judges. And the opposite, if he doesn't do a correct judgment, the Shechina leaves Israel from oppressing the poor, from the size of the very poor. Now I will get up, says Hashem. It means Hashem will leave. Okay, I didn't read that pasuk like that, but that's how the Gemara reads it. Ata akum, I will now leave.
I'm out of here.
I'm out of here, right? Then they were destroyed, right? Yeah, we're learning that Hashem leaves. The Amr Rab Shmuel Bar, it should be probably Nachmani. Amr Rab Yonasan. Call Dayan Shenaisin means every nation is like then anyway, any Dayan that takes from one person gives to the other one that's not according to the law, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Hashem takes his life. Remember, Al Tigzal Dal Ki Dalhu. Don't steal from the poor because he's poor. Val Tadaki Ani B'Shar Hashem, and don't oppress the poor in the gate of Hashem. Ki Hashem in the gates. Ki Hashem Yarevivim, because Hashem will fight their battle. V'Kaves Kveim Nefesh, and will plunder from those that plunder them their soul. Hashem will take their soul. Amr Rab Shmuel Bar Nachmani Amr Rabbi Yonasan. Rab Shmuel Bar Nachmani says, "Name Rabbi Yonasan Leilam Yer Dayan Atzmi Ki Lecher B'Nachas Tabin Yar Kaisav." A judge should always should see himself that if there's a sword right by his thigh, right between his thighs, that means if he leans to either side, it's going to get hurt. Gehenna Pesucha Lemitachtav, and Gehenna is open from under him. Oh wow, it's late. Let me explain how the Gemara is learning this. The bed of Shleima is referring to Hashem. Shishim Gibarim. There's 60 Talmidei Chachamim that are judges that are surrounding it from the strong people of Israel. All of them have swords. Malumdei Melchama, trained in battle. Ishchar Be'al Recha, but the swords are on their thighs from fear of at night. And it's referring to that they have to be, what's the fear at night? From the fear of Gehenna, which is similar to at night. I guess we have to leave it over here. Okay, we're up to Darash Rabbi Yoshe. Okay.
So if I get $100 speeding ticket, should we really thank?
Just $100, yes, you should.
Okay, $160.
That's crazy. 1970s calling is
Tonight we don't
$100.